Are you wondering what to do after graduation and you still haven't found a job? Are you battling feelings of frustration and even failure because your friends are getting a job, but you are still looking for work? If that's you, then I hope that this podcast will inspire and encourage you today. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Cheryl Bernardi, the Wholeness Guide. And in today's episode of Wholeness at Work, I want to help graduates who are still trying to find their first job with a bit of an action plan. The first thing I want to tackle as we get into how to keep that motivation up when you've been looking for the job and you haven't been finding what you've been looking for, the first thing I want to tackle is the feeling because you worked really hard to get to this stage. Let's acknowledge that. I think perhaps people who haven't been through that process or have been through that process many years ago have forgotten or don't know that just getting here has been a mission. And so there was an expectation, and actually, you were told this once you get this degree, you'll get a job and everything will be fine. And this is something I counter a lot. That story that we've been told about work is work hard at school, get accepted into university, work hard in university, graduate, get a job, and life will be fine. It's a very simplistic tick box, isn't it? But the actual process is quite massive. And although I didn't actually do a full-time degree, when I finished my secondary schooling or matric, as we call it in South Africa, I could not go to the university that I was accepted at. And it was very sad for me. I had to start finding work. So I almost kind of stumbled into my first job. And it's from that insight of how I found work out of necessity that I want to share with you today. And something else I want to address before we go on is that when you are looking for work, don't overlook something that you feel is not perfect right now. My first job was an entry-level journalist at our local community newspaper. I just wanted to start working and not sit at home anymore. And so I went to the newspaper office. I walked there. I knocked on the door, well, rang the doorbell, and I spoke to the editor, and she said, well, we actually are looking for a journalist. And they were employing somebody from a rival newspaper. And he was upset that he had to train me. And so it was a bit weird. I was clueless. I had no idea how I was even starting out, but that was my entry point into the world of work. And so when you have actually done all of the work to get this degree and now you aren't getting a job and maybe in the field that you want, I want to encourage you to broaden your scope. I remember sitting at a business breakfast last year with a graduate from a university that I'm currently working with, and she said that she felt like a failure because she had this degree in geology and all of her friends were able to get positions in that industry, and she was struggling. And eventually she got a job in CSI, community social investment. And at first she struggled because she felt like this feels wrong. I spent 4 years studying geology, and now I'm actually doing community social investment work. So she had to face the disappointment of not actually doing the thing that she thought she would be doing straight after the degree. So I want to address that because it's important. You might not get a directly related job in the industry. You might get something that could be aligned or it doesn't seem like it fits, but essentially, maybe you don't realize this yet, but essentially your degree has given you a skill of learning how to learn. So even if you aren't able to get a job in your direct industry, you still have that skill of learning how to learn. And so look for job advertisements where you read the job description and something about it excites you, even though you don't have a direct link. You might want to try and find out how you can speak to the recruitment person there and pitch how you could actually be an asset. So I'm getting ahead of myself, but let's go into my 5-step process of how to find a job if you're still struggling after graduation. And the first thing is to be stubbornly optimistic. I know it can feel very hard and difficult and painful when you are applying for jobs, tons of jobs, and there's no response and people don't get back to you, or you've asked people information and they said they'll get back to you and they ghost you, just know this happens at different stages of your career path. I've also had stages in my life where I had to look for work, and it's frustrating when you apply and there's like dead silence. It's annoying. But one thing that I want to encourage you to do to keep your hope alive is to use the power of your imagination. A picture, especially if you are a visual person, this can really help you. Look for the kind of work that you want to do. Look for an image that corresponds with that and put that picture up where you can see it every day on your bathroom mirror, because this will help your mind to focus on the thing that you want and not the thing that you currently have, which is a frustration about not finding the work that you want. So the first thing is try and find ways that you can keep yourself motivated visually, looking at different types of work that might not be directly related to your industry. The second part that you can do that I want to advise you to do, or encourage you to do, is to sign up for some volunteer work. I'm very aware that after graduation, there could be some pressure from your family to say, well, you've got this degree, we invested in you, why can't you find work? That can be very daunting and very demoralizing. I know that, and I'm acknowledging that. If it's possible for you to get some kind of volunteer work in your area where you stay, that will help you to engage what is called the proximity principle. Try to get around the work that you want to do. Even if you're able to speak to your parents' friends and say, I'm looking for work, I've just got my degree, I'm struggling to find employment. Is there something I can volunteer to do in your organization? Are there internship programs? Are there learnership programs? In South Africa, we have learnership programs. How can I apply? Often there are these graduate development programs that you can apply for, which you probably have tried, but start putting your hands to something, because that is going to help your work experience. It's going to help people to understand that you are willing to work and be active in that process. And also, you never know who you might encounter in that work environment. It can actually be very beneficial to just get around people who are working and perhaps can link you to where you want to eventually get to. Number 3 is to think outside your industry. So even though, like this person I told you about, she studied geology, she's now actually working in community development, and she's actually enjoying it. There is some elements of a linkage there because her experience and understanding can bring greater insight into the work she does, specifically projects related to her studies. So don't limit yourself to just one field. Look at other industries that you still have an interest in and what opportunities could be available there. Number 3 is to find a mentor who can help you. Now, I know people are busy and it's difficult to ask people for help in their time, but I often mentor people where I can. If I'm working in a team and there's a student assistant there, if I notice that there's a lot of potential and they're open to it, I definitely volunteer my time. So try and see who you can reach out to, because a mentor also offers the support of their social network. And that's something when you are looking for work is hard to access, what we like to call, or what's called in some university circles, social capital. So I'll give you an example of someone I mentored at a job that I'm doing at the moment. And she was one of student assistants. And I noticed that she would pay attention to her work, that she would try, that she would meet deadlines, that she was open to feedback. And so when I heard about an opportunity on campus where she was studying, I referred her. So all I did was send an email to say, hey, here's this person I worked with. She would like to apply for this position. That's all I did. And she eventually got the job 2 months later. It's a part-time role, but it's something that can give her more insight. It's giving her some money at the moment. And so that's also something to understand. You might not get a full-time permanent role in what you want to do. Be willing to take on contract work, gig work, part-time work, something to get started, to start building on. Okay. And then number 5, most importantly, this is your job. Getting a job is your job. Okay. So every day, get up in the morning, follow a routine, have a plan of action, reach out to people. Eventually, all the seeds that you are sowing is going to start taking root. If you find yourself getting stressed out, find a way to deal with that. Go for a walk, go for a run, speak to a friend. Keep yourself focused on what's actually important. Think about the money you want to earn. Create a mock budget. Keep your mind active in focusing on this is the direction I'm heading into, and this is what I want to do. And I know that it's difficult. I know that it's hard, but as you keep being proactive, seeing this job as being the problem you want to solve, showcasing your value, LinkedIn, LinkedIn, LinkedIn. You have to get on LinkedIn. You have to get active on LinkedIn, have an updated profile, make sure your picture is clear, visible, professional. Follow the companies you want to work for. Often there's a lot of posts that are advertised on LinkedIn. There's people get jobs on LinkedIn every minute. So your future employer is most likely active on LinkedIn, and that's where you have to be. Follow the people that are working in those companies. Find and stalk on LinkedIn if you have to, all of the graduates and talent development people, because they will often post upcoming opportunities that might not be on the job portals that you're looking at. And I know it might take 3 months, 6 months, a year, however long it takes. You can do it. You have what it takes. I believe in you, and you need to believe in yourself. I really believe that one day things will turn around and you'll be able to provide support to other graduates in their job circles. Don't give up. One day things will turn around and you'll finally get that call, and it will make you ecstatic that you finally are able to get that staff number and to start working. So don't give up. Keep moving forward. Day after day, things will change. I hope that this has inspired you and encouraged you to not give up and to keep going. Have a great day and stay strong.